So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thank you all. We're broadcasting from conference room B at the town office, and we do have kind of a long list of items.
We are 6 with the Bolton representative.
Oh, right.
I
Oh,
don't think we have
right.
to-
Yeah.
But I don't think we for quorum,
Yeah.
because it's not an action member.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all for coming. We do have, let's see, in this room, we'll just say who's here. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a camera that's going to show the other people in the room, but I'm Sherry Lynn. I'm the co-chair, and I'll just ask people to speak into the
Sure, Kate Kreider and Kirsten Santor.
All right. And then hopefully if Mark comes, he comes. But we're going to go ahead. We have the next part of the agenda is public comments for non-agenda items. And I know I have 2 listed, but I'm just going to check with Lisa and Jack first. Did you have any non-agenda items that you wanted to provide?
No.
Okay.
Not for me.
Okay, now the other thing I'm supposed to be doing is time stamping. I don't know how to do this. I'm gonna just say 7:07. This is something Duncan asked me to do, is to note
For when we start.
different topics.
Really? I can try to put that in then.
Something about the recording, they've used it as a table of contents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is this
so
being recorded now?
it is, it automatically
Okay.
started up,
Does it
yeah.
have to be timestamped in Zoom?
No, I don't think so. So I'm just gonna jot it down next to the agenda. Actually, the 2 items, I'll start with the one that Duncan had emailed. So he said that the Vermont Youth Conservation Corporation, is that it right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were interested in volunteering to help out a service project for Martin Luther King Day, which is January. I can't
16th?
remember. It's coming up, right? Third week or
It's the 16th or something.
third Monday. And so they have about 20 people for a few hours, and so we have an opportunity to think about what we possibly do.
Mhm.
You know, it's been definitely warm. And so that's one of the things we can just throw out some ideas and I can relay it back to Duncan. The one thing that I had emailed to Duncan on the side was if we had purchased that bench that we were going to put in Brown's Court, we never put that in. And I thought, well, that certainly could be something that they could set up with whatever direction, because I don't know where we're putting it, but I think it would take up some time to, you know, get it there and install it or put it together or whatever. So I've not heard back if they actually purchased the bench, which was back in June of last year. So that was one idea. And so I don't know if anyone had anything else that, you know, I don't know about cleanup. I mean,
I was gonna say 2 things that Volunteers Green I think we can do. Maybe Kate, you could clarify this, the sand pile.
Oh,
Because
it's still
I haven't
there?
been there
oh,
super recently.
I
but
haven't been there
imagine
for a while.
it's still there, so
Okay.
It is, yeah.
the sand pile and just raking of all of the chips to like back
Oh,
to smooth.
okay.
Not even adding anything necessarily,
Breaking the chips, okay. And they're not frozen or anything, they're probably
I mean,
unthawed, yeah,
depending, you know,
Yeah.
weather depending. But,
weather depending. Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. What should we do with the sand though?
well, I
How
think we'd
weird.
have to contact Pete and see, well, first it'd be neat to see if there's any chance we could get more chips. But
Yeah,
also we would, like, that's just a long shot. but,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
certainly where sand.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. Okay, well those are great ideas. Yeah, okay.
I know we could put some in the sandbox, but definitely won't off it.
No,
Oh, okay, yeah.
or if he doesn't want to move, like, do we build more sandbox?
Yeah.
Right, just build a bigger sandbox. Like that's
Yeah.
not an overly complicated
Yeah,
project.
True.
Yeah, and that,
They could build a frame, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, no, that's a great idea. I just didn't know that we could really do much of anything, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's very weather dependent. But
Yeah, okay, cool, all right.
Right, there's snow on the ground.
Yeah, and I don't know, it sounds like it's gonna be, well, it's supposed to be warm, but we could get a snowstorm, so.
Never know.
All right, now the second one is the website, so. I know you had a couple of questions about the website updates.
well, I finally started working on it.
Yeah.
And it's very easy, but the questions that I had is about how we want to format it. So right now it's just a list of different things, different activities with clickable words, like underlined clickable words. And it's pretty, all there is youth programs, which I think just soccer and Little League are on there.
Okay.
And I added the other day a community programs tab to it.
Okay.
And so then I added Radiate and the farmers market, I think.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
I didn't know what else. Those were the only two that I could like easily say could go on there.
Right.
And then I got into the question of, do we want to put private businesses on there? Do we want to make it more intuitive? What I was envisioning potentially was having it be a series of pictures with words. So it would be, you know, like biking or hiking or playgrounds, and you would click that to another page.
Mhm.
And that page would then provide, you know, a little bit of, it would provide more of this list look.
Yeah.
Because it,
Okay.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
alternatively, we could have just headings of like hiking, biking, but I think you get very wordy very fast.
Right.
So, you know, you start with the bigger picture of what is the activity, and then you drive towards more information
Yeah.
about that activity. So,
Yeah.
but for example, like playgrounds, we're just going to be listing addresses and like very general information
Yeah.
about what's close by. Then we have to think about what borders we want to encompass that. But we could have gardens, and we could have water sport activities. And then it's a question of, do you include Umiak, and how do you, and I think that we could, I think we go either way. You could just include like a sentence about, you know, contact Umiak Outfitters for tubing information. It could leave it as basic as that. I don't know if we want to link to other places necessarily. I don't know if that's a line that gets crossed between public and private stuff. So those are my thoughts, but I could use some direction on that.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone in the towns there would have more direction on whether or not it's appropriate to put private businesses.
I remember we had talked about it at
Did
some
we?
point, but I don't,
Yeah.
I don't remember it being
but I don't
like
think
a no,
we
it's no
can
outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that we could start and do a phased in approach. That would be my first thing.
Okay.
And let's just stick with whatever is like, you know, public nonprofit type, not even just public kind of stuff
Okay.
that doesn't cost anything. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the parameter, it doesn't cost anything. And then maybe we should ask someone and say, you know, because I know this came up, Mark said like Cochrane ski area has done a lot for the town.
Right.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, okay, you know, and certainly there's Camel's Hump Ski Association, and there's I forgot the name, not Sherman Hollow. It's on Sherman Hollow. Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
You know, and they have like a residence day where you get to ski for free.
Right.
Like the
Yeah, and and I don't know who, maybe we'll just ask Duncan, can you find out what, if there's any policy about, you know, since we have this website and we're trying to promote recreational activities, whether or not private businesses can be included. And it could be, again, like you said, maybe it's just, you know, you list, you know, but maybe not necessarily have a link or something. I don't know. I was thinking the Richmond Business Association, that's not what they're called, West something.
Didn't they disband the West?
Oh, they did?
I thought I saw that somewhere.
because
I
that,
saw something where they just did something.
oh, okay.
Maybe I could be wrong. I could be thinking something else.
Yeah, because I was
We
thinking
could check.
if they had a good listing of
Yeah.
everything, that would be just an easy resource for,
Right, just
you know,
link back to.
you link to them, but I don't know if that's the case.
So what, do we like that idea of going by activity?
I do
Yeah,
like it,
I like the
yeah,
idea
Page,
for
like-
organizing, yeah.
yeah,
Shoot offs of different things?
yeah,
Mhm.
I even wonder if it's, yeah, I mean, I do think that people will be drawn to that, especially with the pictures and
Mhm.
everything. And they'll say, oh yeah, let's do that. You know what I've always seen the ski areas do is they do the winter, summer activities.
Well, that's true.
Okay,
And you click and go.
Mhm.
And so you have the 4 seasons, you
Yeah,
know,
I
type
know
of
the
thing,
idea,
you
yeah.
know, and so I find that very helpful.
Mhm.
I know Smugs does it.
yeah,
And I thought, well, that's kind of handy, you know?
Yeah.
To look at. So, but I do think start big and then people get into it. I always think you don't want to do more than 2 clicks though. You know, or try to keep it at 2 clicks, you know, that's
Right.
another thing, or else people get frustrated.
That
That's
would
what I was
be easier
thinking.
to find with the pictures.
Yeah.
by activity, because if you had 4 seasons, you know, you could have fall and you have mountain biking. Or you have fall and then you have all the activities, and there
Yeah.
might be too many to then list,
Right.
because if you have
To
mountain
list.
biking and if you have
Yeah,
information on the playgrounds and.
Mm-hmm. Some of those span multiple seasons, yeah, so I don't know
Right.
if that would work for. our
yeah,
website,
yeah,
just
you're
for
right,
season.
because yeah, it
And I
might
like
be
that.
too
I do,
extensive.
like, visually, it's a really neat.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
but like you can hike, so, you know,
Right.
where do you?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that, you know, and then I mean, I think that let's just start slow and then we can always perfect it. And you know, and I know I said I would help, you know, with updating and stuff. I just haven't looked at any of it yet. So,
It's very easy.
but it's very easy. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I was thinking, whether or not. So we originally thought we would have information about Huntington, Bolton, Richmond.
Right.
And I'm just trying to think in your format. So if you said hiking, you would have the trails at the Richmond Town Forest and the river, or what, I can't remember the name of the other trails. And you could also say the
Rocklands.
Huntington Community Forest and the state park, the Camel's Hump State Park.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it does make sense. Bolton, you could say Preston Pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that is nice.
So I'm gonna include then, because our committee page is a very different place on the website.
Okay,
So I'm gonna include at the top of the recreation page, a little disclaimer that says like, this page is updated by the Richmond Recreation Committee, which is comprised of, you know, like our little blurb.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that people
so-
get a better context of why are they including, like, why didn't they include
Right.
Williston, but they included Bolton?
Right.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like where through town, yeah.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Very cool. All right. So 7.
19.
19, thank you. Write it down. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on the for our guests, Lisa and Jack? Any thoughts on that topic of website?
Nope,
Nope.
not at the moment. Thank you.
We're learning from you guys.
Okay, good. Oh, you know, am I supposed to be watching something? Hang on a second. See, isn't it supposed to pop up?
I
It
think
will,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it pops up and tells you someone's waiting.
Yeah, you know,
So it doesn't, there, it would show if there's someone in the waiting room.
yeah, I thought it usually says, you know, Mark's here to admit or something. Let me just check.
We
this.
haven't gotten any emails from them either,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, okay, all right, so. Yeah, and maybe something sometimes he has those late days, so it could just. be-
Yeah.
Oh, there we
Open
go.
door.
Now I can actually, usually if I look like this, I can see what's going on. Okay. Okay.
Nice.
All right, so on to business for the rec committee. We have the minutes from December 6th of 2022. Is that right? Did I put the right date? Yeah, I guess that
Yeah,
is
that's
right.
right.
I guess I just lost track of time with the holiday. So, are there any comments or additions to the minutes from December? I know I printed out a copy somewhere here, in case anyone needs to look at it.
I refresh my memory, but I wrote it.
Yeah, I thought they were very clear and it helps me
Very
build the
specific and
agenda. And I highlight things.
Nice.
So,
Try to put enough information, but not make it overly wordy.
yeah, no, it's good. So, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, Kate is first, Kirsten is second, and any further discussion? Hearing none, all that approve the minutes for December 6th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
and the motion passes. Okay, the other update for administrative type of business items for the rec committee is, so I just drafted the annual report. So this is for the town meeting, booklet that gets mailed. Do you guys get those mailed? I think we
Need it
get.
by request.
I think you just have to request it, yeah.
Okay, so anyways, they're available on town meeting day or before town meeting day, and so we always have committees write up a little blurb.
Mhm.
And so, Duncan sent the template last year, which, who did it last year? Did you do it last year? Or was it
I think
Kate?
it was Kate.
Kate Anderson, I think
Yeah.
might have done it. And so I just looked at it and like stuck some stuff in that we did this past year. And so I asked Kate to edit it. So I can certainly share it with everyone after Kate looks at it and then let Duncan do what he needs to do with it. So we should wrap that up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, in the next week or so. I don't
think
know.
By the middle of January, you need it
Do
done.
they, yeah, pretty soon. So,
Yeah, I can edit it for the next few days and then you can. send
okay.
it to everyone. if
Yeah,
they
and
have
just
any
say-
feedback.
Yeah, last feedback option. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the next fun thing we get to do is we get to look at the ARPA committee list. So they surveyed people and they had all those meetings and they came up with a nice list of things that were requested to, it's 1.2 million that Richmond got for ARPA funding. And so what they really want us to focus on is if we can get back with them and let them know which of these activities we literally already have in our radar as priorities.
Mhm.
And if we have a cost estimate, I think they would appreciate that. I mean, it's just an estimate. And I would
Mhm.
say that, this would need to be, checked. I would say, add 20% to everything. So I printed out, I went online and they had a list, a nice
Mhm.
list, which was easier than the first list. And so there were definitely things on here that are very interesting, but we did not have them on our original list. So I'm going to read through them. They were by category and this is pretty concise. So let me just read through tennis courts,
Mhm.
pickleball courts, basketball courts, dog park, skate park, modernize and update soccer baseball fields, benches at Volunteers Green and Browns Court. Well, we did ask for one bench. Yeah, working on that. Squash, splash pad. I don't even know what that is. Upgrade equipment, chalk liner, stripers, line paint. That must be for the fields. Conserve undeveloped land, keep it wild. Public restroom at Volunteers Green, so they must want it for year round, is what I'm thinking, because I know they open up the restroom.
Maybe here up to
Yeah.
it or something.
River platform for people to view the river. Spigot for baseball and soccer fields, wildlife bridges and heavy transportation corridors. These are a lot of conservation stuff.
Yeah.
Gaga pit at Volunteers Green. We heard about that from one resident that wanted to donate that. batting cages, bleachers for baseball fields, community garden space, fitness court, trail, series of fitness stations. It's funny because we had that presentation about that.
Hmm.
Improved playground. Now, this is so, I started to laugh at the Richmond Elementary School because they're so specific. So
Yeah.
it's
They're working on new playgrounds,
Yeah.
don't worry about that one.
improvements to Chittenden County Fish and Game. Move farmers markets to Willis Farm area. I hope I didn't miss any. And outdoor learning spaces, running track, teen center, and yurts. And upgrade playground at Riverview Commons. So
I know they had a playground.
so what's fascinating is I didn't see anything about upgrading the Richmond playground.
did.
I mean, the volunteer
I
green.
did some of the other stuff though.
It's
Not
so
on that
weird,
list,
but
but the
not on
other-
this list.
Like
And
the stuff we originally sent before last meeting,
That
that
was a huge.
that had quite a few people
Yeah.
who
So I
suggested the.
wonder if we should be, this one I got, it said 1216.
Huh.
And I'm like, this seemed more
That's weird.
concise, but
And
then-
in person, like when I attended that meeting, there were a couple people other than me who mentioned the playground too.
well, because that was the one that I was gonna say is the one that we had on the list. And we also said, maybe again, all we need to do is tell them anything that relates to our VORAC grant, which was, it was, I had it somewhere here. Here we go. So anything to do with, if we talked about the playground,
Yep.
signage, we talked about more trash and recycling,
Mm-hmm.
band shell repairs, band shell
Yeah.
landscaping,
Yeah.
benches and tables. So
Mhm.
those were the primary ones. You know, and so I am gonna, so what did you guys come up with when you saw the original list? Was there, you do feel the playground was covered, but maybe not the band
Yeah, it
shell?
was definitely in there.
It was in
We
there?
have a larger pool too. I think
Okay,
We had a couple hundred responses, didn't we?
on that first
From
list?
what? First list, I forget.
From the survey that we did.
Oh, the survey that we did.
Oh, the
Yeah.
survey we did.
Yeah,
Oh,
I forgot about that. That
forgot
was
about
probably-
that one.
That's what, I guess
Yeah.
when I saw this, I thought,
Mhm.
okay, well, that's exactly what we did before, but ours, I think, was a little bit more valid.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I think we should definitely, well, like you were saying, with the capital plan, we can't just like wait 10 years to get a new playground. It's not going to
Right.
last that long.
right.
So I really think we should focus on the playground to
Yeah.
suggest to the ARPA committee.
Yeah, that
But
was
we really just need
definitely,
funding for the playground. Some of the other stuff could wait till later. and
Could
that
wait,
be
you're right.
taken From
yeah,
the capital fund.
yeah, I think you're right. I'm just looking at this other long list to see if there's anything.
And I like, you know, the tennis courts and stuff are great, but I know the ARPA committee is not going to go for anything that has ongoing maintenance.
Well, they
costs
did-
Associated.
They
with it.
did strike anything that had that, like
Yeah.
they did that test,
Mhm.
that fails the no continuing expenses. test.
Right, yeah,
But some of these things I would argue
definitely.
should have been
Yeah.
stricken because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them had just one person suggested it, or
Right.
two people, yeah.
Whereas I remember the playground being a big thing on that survey that we did.
Yeah, but you
That's
know,
why we focused on it.
you know what? It's not a big thing on this ARPA list, though. It does not say the volunteers green playground.
It is
Right.
in there on some of their data though, just not in that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
don't-
curious
yeah,
about
I've
like
seen it.
where the data came from.
yeah.
Who was surveyed?
Yeah,
What were,
how they
what was the
surveyed, yeah.
demographics of the people
Yeah,
that gave responses?
yep,
Because you
Yeah.
could walk in,
That's
you
true.
could be at one event and survey a group of people and have very different answers at another event. Not that they surveyed at an event, but you know what I
Mhm.
mean, like just the qualifying, like how you were asking the question,
Yeah.
when you were asking the question
Yeah.
is gonna
Right.
dictate who's answering it.
so maybe, I think what would be a good thing is, let's give them the backup data from the survey that was conducted 2 years ago that, that said, so many people said the playground at Volunteers Green should be fixed or enhanced.
But we could also, actually expand and upgrade playground at Volunteers Green. It is on here.
Yeah,
Where is
it's
it?
in there. It's on one of the spreadsheets. I remember seeing
Wait,
it.
I'm-
It wasn't the highest, but it was up
It was
there.
14.
Yeah,
Okay, well then I must have just skipped right over it.
But I think we could package in with that. Some
Oh,
of
yeah, there it
the,
is.
maybe we do add in more benches and we're already talking about signage and we're already talking
Mhm.
about conservation a little bit with some of the
Right.
waterfront areas there, so. That
Mhm.
feels like a pretty good package to hand them.
The benches too, and
Well,
the,
I'm looking at what else was
yeah.
under Volunteers Green here. It was
Yeah.
the playground,
okay,
signage,
signage, yeah.
Mhm.
improvements to Volunteers Green in general. That actually ranked right below the playground. Ice rink is there. Maybe we could even ask if there's anything additional that the ice rink could use. because
Used, right,
I think we focus on
yeah,
Volunteers Green, like what can we
Mhm.
do?
okay.
The only thing would like modernize or upgrade the soccer and baseball fields.
you're not really sure what they mean. what they
Yeah,
want done.
benches, we could add 2 benches into our quote
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Cause that was.
Upgrading equipment, some of the. Just general equipment used for the sports, that would be an easy add.
So
Maybe
there's,
updating the restrooms a little bit, like that can just be a work
Yeah.
day. I
yeah,
think, like, I haven't been in them, but painting and
Yeah.
such.
Like thorough cleaning and painting.
Yeah, so I think we could take off quite a few of these in some capacity.
and you're looking at the survey,
I'm looking at the summary of ARPA suggestions.
okay,
The same. yeah.
okay. The same.
But I'm
thing as
looking at
this.
all of them, not any of them are
Okay.
stricken right now, just kind of looking at all. And the
Okay.
Gaga, if there's somebody wants to donate the Gaga Ball pit,
There was
Let's do
someone,
it.
yeah,
That's an easy.
yeah, okay, so, all
I'd
right.
say
so-
like, let's look at volunteer screen and just check off as many things as we can. in
Yeah.
some capacity.
I mean, I guess we could ask for like all of what we wanted for the VORA grant, but also be like, hey, this is like the playground's our priority if you're not like willing to give us enough money for everything. I don't know. Not sure what the best
How much
approach
was the
is
total amount?
for the ARPA.
They only have
2
1
million or something.
No,
or
they
just-
only have 1.2
Oh,
million.
it's only
only.
1.2.
That's it. That is not a lot.
I
of
know, but a
money.
lot of like the transportation stuff that people want done, I mean, that's gonna
Yeah.
cost way more than that.
Okay. So I'm just circling some stuff on my sheet. So expand and upgrade the Volunteers Green Playground. Skate park, we can help, we think that's a good priority. Benches at Volunteers Green and Brownsport, because we only got one.
Mhm.
The public restroom, we're just thinking maybe it's a cleanup and
Mhm.
fix, whatever. And what was the other one? I'm just,
Gaga Ball,
oh yeah, where's that one? Because I know
they're closer to the bottom.
there was a person that was gonna donate that. Oh, there it is, okay. Yeah, we're not gonna worry about the outdoor learning space or the baseball fields. Batting cages, community garden space, because that was something we've never talked about. It's a great idea.
Hmm.
Right.
In the fitness court, I do remember we did, it was like a
Yeah.
$5,000
Decided
project,
it's worth it.
but we decided not to do it.
We got the expand and upgrade playground and the improvements, those two were together.
Which one was it?
Expand and upgrade playground.
Yeah.
And then the improvements in general.
Oh, yeah,
Volunteers Green,
yeah.
very.
And I think
I'm
for
agree
the,
with that.
I would like to, again, include the band shell specifically.
Yes.
Because, I think that is something that, I mean, $10,000 is not enough money.
It is,
Says
It
for
was
power and
projected on that.
foundation, wow, I'm surprised.
we did talk to Pete
Really?
and Harlan about it.
Yeah,
That wasn't an arbitrary number.
okay,
I figured he did come up.
It
with,
also
yeah,
was
general.
pre-COVID. Pre-ish price hike.
Oh, it wasn't pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID,
But
but
it
it
was
was
before.
pre-price hike.
Prices went
Yeah,
crazy.
so I think we could, again, we could just reiterate, here's our VORAC grant that was written in 2020 or 2021. God, I can't remember.
It was 2021, and then we didn't
2021.
hear back till like late spring of 20.
Okay.
Yeah, but
And say that these would have, these are gonna be off, they should be increased, but this is a, just a starting point for you to think about. Okay,
Just round up to
Yeah.
200,000.
I would, yeah, I'd say 225, but.
so we basically say like
I was
this is
gonna
our
say 250,
priority.
but it
This
felt
is
a little
the stuff we
greedy.
want.
Well, I almost was gonna go that
The
way.
playground's probably gonna be more than 140.
Yeah, I think we should, I think we should give them a number and then,
Yeah.
you know, and then
Can we just
whatever.
update like the
Yeah.
amounts in the spreadsheet and give them the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
daily.
I would update, the playground is too low and what else is too low?
Well, it sounds like we could use some more benches.
Yeah,
Maybe Kirsten, if you have ideas of how much we should
Yeah.
increase the numbers by, you could add that to the.
And then if we are
spreadsheet.
gonna do anything with the ice skating rink.
and add that,
That's totally
I mean,
arbitrary.
we
I don't know if they need
We
anything.
have an ice skating rink in the winter though, so I'm not really sure if people.
I was just thinking
need
like
an
if
ice
they
skating
need
rink.
anything
Yeah,
else for it
right,
right.
to make it.
I just meant like as a suggestion on the ARPA's list, I'm not really
There's
sure like
community
what
gardens
people.
on there too.
Yeah, I should
Yeah.
have that. as well.
yeah. Okay, well,
Nice
that's,
if there's more detail.
That's why the website's gonna help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, so I don't think I mean, we don't really need to vote on this, but I know that they were anxious, to hear what we thought, so. I'll probably draft up something, to send to, I can't remember who I'm dealing with. It's not Josh, it's someone
Someone on the
else.
ARPA committee.
Yeah, I can't remember.
You could always ask Duncan.
Yeah, so I'm happy to, as a next step, to draft something, you know, and just have you guys kind of look
Yeah,
at it
I'm happy to
before I
help you with
send
it.
it, yeah, and
And
just
maybe
say,
Kirsten could update some of the numbers. with
Yeah.
what she has on.
and just say, this is what we're, you know, we would recommend these are our priorities, and here's some actually numbers, costs you can consider. Yep, okay, excellent, and they were all on our priority list, so, okay. Very good, very good, good. I think this list does match up. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it does match up, this is just easier to read. Okay, so that's the ARPA stuff. So now the interesting thing is, so the other funding source on the next agenda item, and this was gonna be a vote. And again, I don't mind delaying it to have Mark here to weigh in. But what we were trying to do is think about if there's any improvements, repairs, maintenance that we would want to see in the budget every year. And then it rolls over and accumulates so that then you
Mhm.
can, you know, address something. You know, and the fact is because we looked at the VORAC grant and we said, you know, really, a lot of times they're 5 years, like you kind of build the slush fund for 5 years and then make the big purchase for the fire
Mhm.
truck or something, you
Right.
know? And so now I kind of feel like, okay. And it doesn't have to be a big ticket item, I guess, because right
Right.
now, I don't know that we really have any funding that's automatically coming in, like the conservation
Mm.
fund is like X
Right.
dollars every year.
Yeah.
It rolls over and then there's like this pot that people
Mhm.
can apply to.
Right.
So now that we've had the conversation about ARPA, what do you guys think would be something of, you know, magnitude for maintenance or repair or some enhancement we're not thinking about? That we could ask for the capital plan. Not that it would come in, it wouldn't probably make it for this year, but we can make the request and then they can roll it into next year.
I mean, we could use it for some of the smaller stuff on our list if like, say, the ARPA committee gives us some money, but not enough to cover everything.
Yeah, and that's the trick because they want us, because I feel
So
like
need
they
specific
want,
stuff.
so the question would be is do we wait? But
Mm.
again, then we're waiting for the ARPA committee is gonna send it to the select board for
Mm.
final decision about what happens with the ARPA money. So I think it's our opportunity to say, okay, we're probably missing something that needs to be done. And maybe that's what goes in the capital plan.
Mhm.
In a lot of ways, when I look at this list, I'm thinking to myself, well, we certainly haven't thought about,
Maybe improving the field.
right,
Like some of the other
right.
stuff on there.
It
that's
was
not-
Equipment replacement.
Right.
Yeah,
Upkeep of the playground. I mean, I think we're looking at easily 10,000 a year
Yeah.
ask.
do you? Yeah, okay. And that could do some of the other things on here, like, if they, I mean, I guess the question would be is like, if they needed, to redo the field, the baseball field or the soccer field, that could be sod, that could be,
That'd be pretty much that whole budget.
okay,
For 1
Um,
year, for 1 year.
for 1
I mean,
year,
I don't know
yeah.
about 10, but
Yeah,
7, 8,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, okay.
Depends on how you do it, certainly, but.
What about any trails? Like, are we interested in any, I mean, I guess there's not really, I don't even know how the trails, I mean, I don't even know, like
It's-
Brown's Court, what the trails look like, or
Brown's
know.
Court, I don't think has trails.
they don't have trails.
It has a little trail that you can
But that
go out the
would,
back end to get to the.
that would be a
Right.
good package for it, like to say that we're gonna put in a walking path at Brown's Court.
Right, like a
We had
walking
talked about
path,
that, like
Yeah,
a measured just
Around there.
basically a track of
Yeah.
sorts.
yeah,
But that's also a tough one to just put out there and say that we're gonna do this and we're heading towards this because it
Yeah.
is such a contentious.
oh,
area.
I did not know that, okay.
Yeah.
Contentious isn't the right word. It's
Yeah.
people feel very strongly about Brown's Court.
Oh, okay,
And don't want stuff.
I don't
there.
think I've even been there, so, yeah,
I've been there, so.
yeah.
it's-
Okay.
so.
So do you think that, I mean, I guess, is there, so let's step back and say, let's think about ongoing maintenance. For Volunteers Green. So if we were to say, well, we really think $10,000 is gonna make sure it's, kept up. And if there was something that, a cost that came up that you could,
It's more of a budget item though. That's
it's
really
more
what
of a
we're
budget
asking.
item, yeah.
Yeah,
They really kind of want to know what you need to buy.
yeah.
Hmm.
They'd be like, we're putting in a pool, here we're working towards it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't see anything that stands out like that to me personally.
Right. Right, and I don't even know, so the one thing that I don't know is,
Uh-huh.
does the town actually have a maintenance budget? It sounded like what Duncan said is they have a budget that includes like mowing the fields in the summertime and stuff like that, and emptying the garbage and stuff. But beyond kind of the maintaining of the fields and the structures, I think that's a hit or miss. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like it's painted every year
No, I
or
think it's like, oh, that really should probably be done. We
done.
better do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why it's in that shape.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. Maintenance hasn't been done.
But that means that's a budget request. That's not a capital improvement.
Hmm.
Right, so,
How do we sell
That's a
it
different thing.
as that? But you're right,
Right.
like the walking path would be a yes,
that would be an
is,
improvement.
but I would be
yeah.
very wary of
Yeah.
putting it out there like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
what do
Especially
you
like
think,
we
Kate?
we can't just say we're gonna do that without even like the public having any input
Yeah.
into it.
Right.
That would not go over well.
That is very true, yeah.
We could still ask. It's not really our decision to figure out whether or not something counts as a capital improvement or a budget item. So we could still ask for those expenses, knowing that there will need to be field replacement or field work done, at least the pathways could use help, like Brown's Court could use upgrades, like there's always gonna be those upgrade things, and we're pretty far behind on a lot of them, so it's more of just let's work towards that, but
Yeah,
and they could decide if it's more of a budget request or capital, or maybe it's a capital improvement to start and then it kind of rolls into the budget.
yeah, yeah. Cause it's been deferred maintenance for several years, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or could they just increase the budget for the, I don't know how it works. but
yeah.
for the volunteer screen.
Well,
maintenance.
that's certainly an idea, to suggest, that there will be a need to improve the fields. And possibly other structures beyond just, trying to clean up the public bathroom or the bathroom situation.
And
And
the courts, like the basketball, we had looked at basketball, tennis, like multi-purpose courts, pickleball, tennis,
Yeah.
basketball courts.
Mhm.
It's
Again, we had talked
interesting.
about how Brown's Court would be a really good spot for those.
Spot for that.
and You cannot just jump into that.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's a little bit difficult here because we really feel we have a good case to ask ARPA to pay for what was
Mm.
originally the improvements.
Like for volunteer screen stuff,
Y-
yeah.
Yeah, versus waiting 5 years
Mhm.
to do a capital plan.
Right,
So I'm feeling less excited about the capital.
should we
plan.
like, yeah, but I wonder if we could ask like the select board about, I don't know, if they'd be willing to increase the annual budget for volunteer screen. Or just recreation areas in Richmond, is
Yeah,
that something you can do
We can
instead?
say playground expansion, that would be a capital improvement that I think we would still need. Even with our ARPA request,
Okay.
not need, but could use. Like,
So
I don't
you-
think that playground budget's gonna get us very
No,
far,
okay,
so a playground expansion.
so
That's a
really
capital
what we're
improvement.
doing
Yeah.
is we're really with the current, the Vorak grant was set up so that you could take the existing structure and replace it with something that is, again, more up to date and that you're, changing the surface below, but you're not really making it bigger.
Yeah, if
That's-
anything, it might even get smaller.
Oh, okay, now that is
Based on the budget.
interesting. Yeah,
I'm just throwing,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know that for sure, and it would
Yeah.
very much depend on what we were going
Mhm.
with in terms of material.
so
Okay.
you know what's interesting about that is, because we talked about having a public meeting to get ideas about the playground. Well, we would probably want to find some information about, I keep thinking about how, how you can get a house and it's a modular and then you can add on
Yes.
and add on. It would be the
Yeah.
idea with the playground.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're just trying to take the square footage that we have right now and improve it. And then over 5 years, we would add X, Y, and Z.
And
That's a good
A
idea.
lot of it is to the external pieces too, so
Yeah.
even though it becomes all one like area, it's.
Yeah.
The climbing piece over here
Right.
and the swinging piece over here. I'm not talking about like just straight up
Yeah,
swings, but they make some really cool stuff.
yeah,
So
so,
you have that main structure, and probably we can get that main structure pretty good with
Yeah.
with the budget. But
Yeah.
then we're talking about this piece over here and this piece over here.
I like
and this
that.
Piece over here.
I like
That
that.
are different elements focused on very different types of play.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Is there enough room to do that? In the
Well, you
volunteer
might
screen?
need to expand it, but in
You
terms of the
think-
green. I
Yeah,
would
do you
say
think the
yes.
green has
the
enough?
green does,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
only question like for the town would be the rules, because it's a floodplain. I know Ravi said in the past that you can't add any additional structures on volunteer screen.
Oh,
Like not even a fence for
Yeah.
a dog park, so I
Oh.
don't know if we'd actually be
Outside the
able
footprint.
to
oh, that's
go
interesting.
outside the current footprint.
That sounds familiar to me for some reason.
I wonder what the details are with that, because if you think about the footprint of where the just think about like where the wood
Right.
chips are right now.
Mhm.
That's a pretty sizable thing, and the playground naturally is in the middle of it,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but. If we could only work with that footprint, could the playground be like to the edge of it,
mhm.
and then the wood chip area actually expands because the structure isn't outside of that.
Yeah.
But
Right,
the wood chips are, and then we have quite a bit more space to the
Mm.
side or wherever to
Mm.
put these other things.
right, as long as the structure's like.
As long as it's
outside
within
of
the same
current-
footprint, and then the
Huh.
wood chips can go out, or it would actually be, the
Yeah,
mats.
The mats, yeah,
That might
That's-
work.
yeah.
It'd be nice if we could get
Yeah.
away with that, yeah.
Well, I think that is, I mean, because it is something we've been talking about, like, okay. you know, and I had no idea what this playground structure, I knew the mats were gonna be used because they were donated, but I was like, I didn't have any idea about, you know, whether it was bigger or the same size. And again, things are pricier now, so.
Mhm.
But that would be an enhancement. We're doing a replacement and upgrading it, but expanding beyond that, okay. I do like that idea. I do think
Yeah.
also maybe just it doesn't hurt to throw in and say, hey, we
Mhm.
also think that you need to put in 10 grand a year for upkeep and maintenance of all of the fields and structures, period.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they can tell us that's a stupid idea.
Right.
Well, you know, that's not gonna happen. That
We'll
doesn't.
give you a 5 or whatever it
Or
is.
whatever it
Yeah,
is
Or a
into the
1,000, it's like,
budget.
okay, it's still better.
Right.
We're kind of
Right,
something.
so I think we can ask for both, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I think we can.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I would propose that we don't vote on it tonight, because I would like Mark to weigh in February, because he was very interested in the capital
Yeah.
budget plan.
And we have some time. for it to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
considered for
we don't
do
really,
the following.
yeah, I don't think, do you agree? I don't think we need to vote, we're
Yeah.
kind of
What
brainstorming.
does it do?
It's not really, like, they've all.
When do they work on the next budget? In the next fall, maybe?
They start in the fall, yeah, so, I mean, we still have a couple of months to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think, you know,
I
we can talk to Mark about, this was what we were thinking about, you know,
Mhm.
what's your experience, or what were your ideas, cause I know he wanted to look at the
Mhm.
town plan.
Yeah.
And Duncan had sent the links to the reports,
Mhm.
and the original town plan, which I actually did not look at
I
before
didn't
this.
find much useful.
You
in
didn't?
that. I did
Okay.
skip
I
through, but
looked at it, the 2018 one had a
Yeah,
lot of information.
it did, yeah.
but I don't know about this.
I might look,
okay.
I might look and just look
I
again.
skimmed stuff. I didn't find
Yeah.
a lot that I found useful for this
Yeah.
in particular, but
Yeah, so let's wait on that. I mean, I think actually Duncan was the one that was trying to get us to.
yeah.
I
Which
think,
is a good idea, don't get me wrong.
yeah, I think we can
We need to
can
think
hold
about
off.
You need to be a little more organized when we go to the select board.
Yeah.
Another consideration would be potentially like increasing our equipment base, more
Mm.
snowshoes or skis, and
Mhm.
working more towards a program setup. It's
Yeah.
a very different
Mhm.
ask, but
That's a good
another
idea.
way to go about it too.
I
Not
was,
necessarily a programmer, but just
Yeah.
that, you know, we're gonna host a couple of days, we're gonna get ice skates, we're gonna get ski, whatever. we're gonna
Yeah.
get.
yeah, I should actually check with the librarian. I'm curious how many people got the loan for the snowshoes last year.
Fairly decent last year.
Yeah.
From what I heard, because
Yeah.
when I was in the library.
Yeah, but that is interesting, like to have cross-country skis and skates available.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
Yeah.
would be that's a nice way for, like, to ask however much for the capital plan, because we actually would be using it each year.
yeah,
So we're not actually waiting until year 5.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We just have to figure out a system for storing
But yes.
And if, yeah,
it. We can't ask the library to do all of it.
yeah,
Oh, we could, but they'd probably say no.
Yeah. This room looks good. Let's use it here. Like a gear closet.
There you go. Storage.
yeah, I know that I saw there was one town that does do the snowshoes, cross-country skis.
Nice.
And I was trying to think how they set it up. It wasn't through the library. I remember seeing.
Clerk, maybe?
I don't remember if it was a group of volunteers that were just available to hand them out on certain days. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I could
Seen it
remember.
done a couple of different ways.
Yeah,
The library, the rec department, I'm talking about different towns.
yeah,
Mhm.
In my hometown, they actually just have a shed by the, like
And
a little warming hut by the skating rink, and there's just free ice skates in it all the
and
time.
you sign them out
Okay.
or just
Or you
grab them,
get-
put them back.
It's right next to the ice skating rink, so I think you
That's
just go in,
cool.
you put them on, you
Yeah.
come back out.
Yeah.
And then like a
Neat.
traveling trailer.
Okay.
to
Yeah.
set up, so you
Yeah.
can go, you're more mobile.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, that's the same idea as the lawn games, you know, is that
Yeah.
you just have them there, you make people aware of them, they take it out, they put it back in, you know.
Mhm.
We still haven't been able to execute that because we didn't have the right
We didn't have the right box.
That's what I was gonna say, was that
We
we had
ordered the right
that, we
box.
made that recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
I need that box space for.
well, I do remember like saying, okay, yeah, get this one or something, you know, and it was
Mhm.
just like, I think the rattan one would work, it's plastic, but everything would get wet because it's woven.
Yeah.
So
Not
it,
good.
it was made for a deck, you know, it's kind of pretty,
Right.
but if it's gonna be out in the elements, you want something a little
It
sturdier.
doesn't need to be pretty.
Yeah, so it's
Needs to be
fitting in
water
the, you
Do
know,
you need me to send that
I
link
never did.
again for, cause the place that I sent was the place that the library got their tables.
Yeah.
And it also had, it did have a storage box, like a fully plastic one that's. really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, what I did is, so what happened is I know that they were interested in me ordering from Lowe's for some reason.
Hmm.
And so I resent the email and I said, this is what I picked out from Lowe's.
Yeah.
You know, back in June. And that was for the bench.
Mhm.
I don't remember what I did, but I remember I was going back and forth, like they said, look at the Lowe's, we never looked at link that you had sent, I
Yeah.
don't think, that might have come afterwards or something, but. Yeah, so, yeah, maybe it would be a good idea, resend it. And I'll say, hey, while you're ordering, Duncan. You get the bench in the
box, too.
box because we want to pull that out so people can play with
Yeah.
it, yeah.
It's disappointing with the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, and it could be, you know, it could be that there is like a little shed
Mm-hmm.
that houses, here's the games, here's the skates.
Right.
Here's,
I think we could probably build something on the back of the band shell. since
Yeah.
It's already an
There you
existing
go.
structure.
Yeah.
Just attached to the band shell.
yeah, yeah, so, okay, so those are all great ideas. So I think again, we took what our original priorities were and just
So, yeah. they
thought
just-
about adding stuff. Yeah, but you know what? We bought the one that looks like that.
This is solid on top. This is not, there's no holes. It just looks like it's woven.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay.
But
See, I do wonder if we got that, and it looks woven to me. I said, well, this is really kind of
Yeah.
delicate, but, okay, but that,
for sure, it's not,
It's-
it's just
yeah.
plastic. Yeah, just like fully plastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell in that it's plastic. Yeah.
maybe I should look at that thing again.
I'm
'Cause-
gonna send it to you, right?
Yeah, because I do wonder if we actually have something that would work outside,
Mm.
because it looks like that. It's the same color and everything.
Really?
So I think it was,
We need to look more closely at the box.
well,
before.
Duncan, I
Is
remember
it somewhere here in the town
it's
center?
over in the concession stand.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Fourth.
So what happened is, I think Duncan, when he put it together, he said, oh, this isn't gonna last outside. I do remember him saying
Okay.
that.
Huh.
So he was the one that was concerned
He
about
thought it would
putting it
work.
outside.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I wonder if we actually do have the right thing. But, okay, but send it to me and we'll close the loop on that. Okay. All right, so good. We'll move the vote maybe to next month. We'll just keep moving that. We'll put it to February. Okay, so the next thing we had was we were gonna discuss, because we want to have a public meeting about the playground. You know, and what it would look like and stuff like that. I think we picked the third Tuesday in March was our target. I mean, we haven't put out any notices or whatever. You know, so we thought we should start talking about community engagement and just kind of brainstorm some ideas and, you know, like how would we prepare materials for people to look at and have choices and things like that, you know, what needs to kind of happen.
So you said the third Tuesday.
Yeah, let me look at I think it was
Of
in your
March?
notes, I think it was,
Anyway.
let's see, we were gonna do March 21st.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can't meet on town meeting.
Oh, right.
We decided not to
I
meet on
didn't know
town
that.
meeting day. So
Mhm.
we were thinking possibly of March 21st having the public meeting, which gives us a little more time between February
Right.
7th to get organized. Yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, I'm thinking here saying, well, obviously we can put a notice in the Richmond Time Inc. on Front Porch Forum on the
Mhm.
web page, you know. send out some kind of email to the seniors newsletter and stuff. We were thinking, public meeting about the playground. Maybe the
Are we
school.
gonna know by then? If we have funding or not?
ARPA?
We were just gonna have, so here's the interesting thing, can we just have the conversation even though we don't know if we have funding? We
Well,
won't.
because we're gonna replace it at some point
Yeah,
anyways.
we won't
And if
know,
we wait to get public feedback until
yeah,
we already have money for it, then it's gonna be. a
yeah,
long
they're not
process.
I
gonna,
wonder if it's gonna,
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not
That was
gonna
the
know,
thinking.
they won't know, I mean,
They've
I'll,
got a couple of years, I think, to decide, don't they?
no, they have to
No,
spend
it's
it by 2024.
No, decide, I think they have to spend it by 2026.
That long?
I thought, because I remember them talking about how they don't want them to rush and then.
Oh,
I think maybe they have to decide.
oh, God.
I don't know.
Hey,
I
that's-
might be wrong, we could check on that, but anyways.
Yeah, so we won't know. Right, and I think our thought was, geez, we have all these possibilities of different funding sources. Capital fund, ARPA, conservation commission, that we thought we could, pull money together if we had to from these different sources to get the playground done. So I'm just thinking about this out loud. I'm trying to remember if we ever have done this before,
before we knew.
where we don't have the funding yet, but we wanted to engage the public. Yeah, I guess that is a pitch. You have to pitch it the right
So we're
way.
like envisioning people's visions for the playground. and-
Maybe that is it. A visioning exercise. I hate those, but
Lean more towards doing it, like having specifics that we're asking.
Right,
Instead of,
yeah, if we leave it
Open-ended.
completely open-ended, it will never get anywhere, I agree, like, we should have some sort of structure as the, like, this is what our,
but I think we can do it by
Plan.
element, because that also would
Yeah.
inform us
that's true.
as to what. If we were doing it in pieces, because let's say we didn't get the ARPA funding,
Yeah.
but we could get some conservation money and
Yeah.
different
Mhm.
pieces. Then we can prioritize what aspects are most important to people. And there is actually like playground terminology as to the different elements.
okay.
Okay.
So, it'd be like slides,
Yeah.
it'd be climbing, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if these are real.
Yeah.
But there's like height-based ones.
Yeah,
There's,
Okay.
risky play ones, there's all different types.
yeah,
That I think there is some general playground lingo around that we could
Okay.
probably find, and then provide maybe some visual examples of what those could be. Maybe
Mhm.
there's like
Mhm.
3 different examples with pictures under slides,
yeah,
and then people could rank based on the elements what their priority is.
That's a
Yeah.
good
Because we all
idea.
tend to think about playground as one whole structure, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
all different elements that
Yeah.
come together.
yeah,
And like
that,
by age group too, like who are we trying to serve? Like,
Yeah.
do we want to have it as one, or do we want 2 separate, like one structure that can meet, 3 to 12-year-olds or something?
Right.
Or is it 2 separate like we have now, where it's, little kids and
is it set up 0 to 2 and then like 3 to 12 years old? I can't remember on the
think
current
it's
one.
5?
5.
12,
5 to 12, yeah.
That sounds
and
about
0 to
right.
3.
And
I
0 to
remember in
3.
school, like the
Yeah.
preschoolers didn't use the playground.
Right, and I don't know how that goes now.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know when we build it, I
Yeah,
haven't seen any new playgrounds that really divvy it out as much like that.
yeah,
I
Okay.
feel like it's a little bit more inclusive.
Mhm.
yeah, so that, I mean, I think that makes a
Well,
lot,
it's really, like inclusive elements.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
the natural elements. I mean,
Well, that is the other thing, is the natural elements or the
Mhm.
materials, because I
Right,
think that's a
materials,
big
yeah.
deal to people.
Yes.
Well, at least one person was very adamant about, we should be thinking about those,
Mhm.
Yes.
materials, yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be another, if you had your choice and
Right.
money wasn't an issue, then what kind of materials?
Right.
And give them the options. This is, composite, this is
Right.
wood, this is, I don't know what the
Mhm.
other ones are, yeah. Yeah, so maybe it's not, so it's not about, pick the best design for the, playground. It's more
Right.
about, narrowing down the scope of the playground based on
Mhm.
what people think is important, I guess.
Yeah, like what
Vision.
elements are important to have, because we couldn't do like an actual like layout of the
No.
playground at this point anyway,
Is-
so.
Is there another word than visioning for this type of thing? Yeah, I would like a different word than vision.
Yeah.
Cause visioning is a little
To
too,
break it down, that's
Too
like choose your own adventure.
yeah, yeah,
Do
Yeah.
you wanna focus just on the playground?
Thank you.
I guess we could
Or
talk
at least
about,
for the first one, it might be better to like narrow it down to one.
I like just doing the
Yeah,
playground.
cause even that sounds like we
Yeah.
need quite a few different elements.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
other people to
So so are there any resources we can look at to start pulling out that information so that,
Yeah.
again, we're kind of organized when,
Yeah.
people come here and, we give them a introduction and, oh, they might be zooming in. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, we'd have to do Zoom too.
So
But yeah, if you have like certain websites. that-
Yeah, so we have to
could send them
allow-
along to us.
Allow people to put like in the chat to pick things and stuff like
Mhm.
that. If they came on site, I was envisioning they'd come on site, but that might not be the case. So we'd have to plan for that too. Like, how do you run one of those, so people can pick their priorities, whether they're in person or on Zoom, so.
Right.
You probably have to do a poll.
Well, you could show like this, you
Yeah.
can present stuff on your.
Yeah. That's true. There
We
could be a
could
little,
just have a Google form and have
Hmm.
a QR code. so
That's
that people
true.
in the room can scan it. so
Yeah.
people online can, so it's not, we're not doing
Yeah.
like paper.
yeah,
with-
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, those are good ideas. Okay. So for the next meeting, then let's kind of break out. What is it that people are gonna be picking and choosing from? If we can think of those compartmentalized things a little bit more, then we'll be a little more ready. Okay. Well, you're not gonna believe this, but boy, we're efficient.
We should probably give people like some option of seeing the information weighing in other than just the meeting in Zoom too. To make it
Yeah.
accessible to everyone.
Yeah,
Not sure if that's just like, we put the document on the town website and
Yeah.
people can email feedback or how we want to do that, but.
yeah, we should have multiple ways, because even on a good, if you do all the outreach and, get people to come, or participate by Zoom, you still end up with is a smaller number, like even a good,
Right.
when we were prioritizing our recreation, plan for Huntington. I mean, we had like 80 to 100 people come, and that was with a consultant helping us doing, the actual public meeting part. We did
Yeah.
like 2 sessions. But that was a small number of
Mhm.
residents. But it was informative. It gave some kind of direction.
Yeah,
So I think that we do have to, maybe again, it's just making like a, Google, form available.
maybe like a feedback form specifically. for the
Yeah.
Playground, if
Yeah.
people have a stuff.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
we ready for the next, are we ready, were we done with that one, or do you want to have other ideas?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe just Playground for the meeting, I guess, between now and the
Letter.
next, do some of
Yep,
the stuff. You can
Yep.
send us websites or whatever that we can look at.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be helpful to get. What would you like? For next meeting?
if you can come up with some of the terminology stuff, the element
Yeah.
terminology, that would be
And
helpful.
different options. like-
Yeah,
Like, we just don't really know like what options are even out there for
Okay.
materials and elements. I don't know if there's like websites or something where he has
I'm on right now.
options. Cool. We can look
Yeah, 'cause
through, and
we
then
can
we can
just-
have an idea of like,
yeah,
It's just tough because they're all
yeah, so
trying to sell it.
Right.
so They're only gonna give you so much
so much
information.
detail,
I
yeah.
have some context, but I don't know.
So
Is
we
there
can-
any
we
non-
can discuss what included next meeting, like,
Yeah,
For
is
the-
there a nonprofit that has any kind of resources on, as you try to organize around a playground or not?
I mean, I think that most places are not going about it this way. You know,
Okay,
most places
okay.
are just deciding what
Yeah,
what it looks like, because there's already a budget, there's already
Yeah.
a site, there's actually a lot of parameters that are already determining what needs to happen, or, you know, it's for private, or even if it is for public, you know, the recreation department is deciding.
right.
yeah, so, yeah,
not
We're in
just-
a weird,
yeah.
we're in a
space
weird space, okay,
where we're trying to seek that public input, which is very valuable,
yeah,
but, yeah, it's.
yeah. Yeah, I wonder if there was another town, you know what I might do is I wonder if I can contact Bristol. And ask them, because they did that funky playground, which is, again, is very natural elements.
Yeah.
It looks like a fairyland, like,
Okay.
you know, wood structure, but then they have some of the other elements that are more rough and
Yeah.
tumbly, but, it, you know, it looks like a little, like you walk into a little, fairy tale land, you know,
Yeah.
it's just very different, so.
Yeah,
You know, I think I'll check in with their rec, I don't know if they have a rec director or a department, or if they actually have.
This
Um,
site is listing some pricing, and for public parks, it's
Yeah.
looking at, like, it's estimating 158 for the playground products.
Yeah.
40,000 for installation.
Yeah,
14 for surface,
Yeah.
including installation.
Yeah.
20,000 for freight, so we're looking at 232,000.
yeah,
That's not telling you at all what that does.
right,
for
Those
Yeah.
products, I
Yeah.
think that's the one we're closest to. They do have schools, and they're estimating that one, it's like
Mhm.
140,000. But that's, you can see we're easily over 200 if we're trying to get something
Yeah.
nice.
yeah, so, you know,
We should- Yeah, quote
And it's nice that we already have the like some of the surfacing, so that's a little bit easier, but it doesn't negate
Mhm.
any of the install.
so let me ask you this, one of the question is, because the Richmond Elementary School was mentioned about their playground. How does that compete with what's going on with Volunteers Green? Or does it?
Hmm.
I don't think it does.
It
Not
does.
really.
Okay.
I think it's a totally separate.
Okay.
Yeah, and they
budget
plan
between
their
yes and
design
no.
on their own,
Yeah.
like they don't have to.
They don't have to
include the
ask.
community,
Yeah.
it's their own private property.
Yeah, I don't even know what that playground looks like, to be honest.
But they already have like a whole design for it. and they're
They
hoping-
do.
Yeah, they've installed some stuff, but they're hoping to get like the main playground in over the summer.
And that's what I
Yeah,
wonder if we
funding.
would, we would be better off just giving out 3 to 5 options of actual designs.
Yeah,
Because it's hard for people to envision
yeah,
what you're talking about. We can have a natural one, we can have
it's a good idea, yeah,
you know, it's just.
and then have a discussion around those few.
Are there 3 basic styles that?
No, I'm just saying,
Okay,
like, I think,
okay.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it just feels like the budget, typically, a budget, you would have the budget,
Yeah.
and then you would seek quotes from and
Right.
designs from
Mhm.
all of these companies, that's what
Right.
they're used to doing.
Right,
Yeah.
And so they would give you those things based on your budget, and you would then compare across, because that actually, it's gonna be significantly different across companies, what you can get for the amount of money that you have.
yeah,
So. Yeah, I don't know. Just wondering how valuable it's gonna be to ask
Mm,
for component input ahead of time.
I guess, do they have a set of questions that they need responses for that we could ask the public for? Like, when you go and ask for your 3 estimates, are there generally like 5 things that they want to know?
It probably depends on the company.
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
If if you're saying like we want as much as we possibly can have. Yeah, it's different.
Well, why don't we, at least let's have another conversation at the, February meeting. And hone in on the concept of, is this gonna be worthwhile to engage the public?
yeah.
Even though we don't have a budget, you know, what would be our, you know, hope or our outcome? That it would give us some kind of direction about what people are thinking, or do we just do a presentation and not ask for input? That's the other way,
Mhm.
is we could say, you know
Do it as a
what?
presentation.
We don't have a budget yet, but we
Yeah.
really are interested in hearing what you all think of, here's 3 kind of styles or whatever they are. And we just wanted to get your initial input. There would be much more that would happen, for engagement afterwards. So
Yeah,
that would be enough to really
When
make it.
when they're designing the playgrounds, this is where it gets tricky, is that they're making it balanced. So
Yep,
I just wonder if we're saying, well,
yeah,
it was really important for us to have risky play and
Right.
slides and this other thing, and like those 3 things, it's really hard to fit those things, like those are the 3 most expensive things, and it's hard to
Yeah.
fit those in with our budget.
yeah,
And like have nice walkways and
Yeah.
tie it all together. There's just like literally no way for them to make that happen.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, like not that we've promised that, like the
Mhm.
public doesn't necessarily know what the outcome is of
right,
the
I get what
survey,
you're saying, yeah.
but are we then feeling anxious because we got this input and we're not even able to meet
yeah.
that need?
Maybe again, the good backup research thing is to find out. Yeah, I guess I really want to find out from another town how they approached getting playground design
Mhm.
for, that they don't have a budget, and I don't know if that's just gonna be Bristol or not, but I think they have a rec department. So who's a town that does a playground on a green that doesn't have a rec department? That's what we kind of need.
Did like Essex do any public engagement, or is it just like?
Yeah,
They don't
they're
have
too
to because
big.
it's like an actual.
No, that's what I was thinking about, like when we as
Yeah.
staff sat down and looked at those playgrounds. Then
Yeah.
the difference in designs was incredible
Yeah,
for
Okay.
the same amount of money.
Really? Okay.
So I'm just thinking back to that of like how different each one was.
yeah,
And you can obviously tweak it,
Yeah.
but I wonder what we're asking of the public to envision. It's one thing for us to sit here and like talk it through and really have a better understanding
Yeah.
of that, but when you ask just someone off the street, they're not just naturally, they're not gonna put that much thought into it. It's gonna be very instinctual, right? Like I like that one or I don't like that one.
Okay.
And half of that could just be color.
Yeah.
so how, in the Vorak grant, what was the engagement strategy? That's what we should be asking ourselves. For the Vorak
Bristol.
grant, what
Yeah.
was the engagement strategy, or did we not define that? I actually have.
For those items.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
might have just been general,
Was
like.
it very
people have
general?
engagement.
yeah,
It was, I think it was initially based off of the survey that we did
okay,
with the postcard, and they to narrow it down to volunteers green.
okay,
And then beyond that, it was just general,
okay,
this is roughly how much a playground's gonna cost, and this is
Okay.
roughly, we need some more trash receptacles. There are things that just don't feel like
yeah,
require a lot of public engagement,
Right.
like
Right.
aren't gonna be
Yeah.
hot. And then, obviously, we got to the point where we're actually choosing the playground,
Yeah.
that's gonna be.
I think that's really gonna be the main thing that people are gonna want input on. But I appreciate your input because you have a lot more knowledge of this, and I think it does seem to make more sense that we can't really do a whole lot before we know what our budget is.
We certainly can, I just wonder if we're backing
Yeah.
ourselves into a corner, because
Right.
who are we gonna make happy?
So we gotta be careful, yeah.
Yeah, like, is it gonna be
Get it over
anybody?
our
Is
head.
it gonna be everybody? I don't know. And we
Yeah.
have no idea how we can answer that. So why are we
Mm.
asking if we can't even necessarily deliver?
Yeah,
on it.
and if everybody's like, oh, we want these elements, but then we don't have the money for it, then what do we do? We're back
Right,
at square
right.
one. Yeah,
It's really hard. It's very hard without a budget.
yeah. Makes sense.
And I don't know that it would necessarily delay the process to not get that input until we have a budget.
Yeah.
That's the
Maybe
other
you're
piece,
right.
is that I
Yeah.
think we can move pretty fast on
Yeah.
it once we know.
yeah,
We could do some background research and figure out
Mhm.
which companies we wanna pursue this
True.
with and
That's a
get
good point.
quotes from. We could start having conversations with these companies.
yeah,
There's nothing precluding us from doing that now.
right,
And then we're just like
Mhm.
ready as to like whenever we get
Yeah.
the money. They're used to that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not
do they do
unusual for them.
presentations?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Cause that would, again, make it much easier to have them come in and present their ideas to a group,
Yeah.
I
I don't know if they do it to the public in
Yeah.
that capacity. I'm not sure if that
Right.
is
Yeah.
not something that they're interested in. They certainly will have big blueprint,
Mhm.
graphic
that could be
drawings
shared
and
and, yeah,
pictures that
yeah.
you can see, that you can really get a feel for
yeah.
the playground options, so.
Well, so
Yeah.
let's have a conversation in February to decide, are we really gonna do the public engagement around the playground for March? Because it may not make
Yeah.
sense, but we can still front load getting information and quotes about what different companies provide for playground structure.
We should
Yeah,
have a better idea of when we would know for ARPA funding. right?
yeah.
By then,
No,
no,
God, no.
By next month, probably
No.
not.
okay.
I mean, it's
It
in,
might
when would we have
it
an
might
idea? Not
be
even
on
an
the
answer,
town website.
but when would we,
so time
when would we
needs
have an
to
idea of?
I'm gonna ask when I send them
Okay.
to
Because
say
it's
that
2024.
these were the priorities we are already working on, here's what it costs.
Yeah.
And can you tell us when you're gonna present to the select board for them to make a decision? We just need a crisper timeline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And my understanding is, it seems like, again, like by September, I thought it was September of 2023. There was gonna be some decisions, and then they had till 2024 to spend the money. So in my mind, it was like quick.
Okay.
But again, that was my mind thinking that it's quicker for ARPA money
Yeah,
than it is for the capital budget.
Yeah.
So I think let's try to pin them down.
Okay.
On that. Yeah, because we would really just like to know, okay, is this a go? You know, what is the date? I mean,
Well, and then that becomes the
Mhm.
question is, are we replacing other pieces
Yeah.
before that date? And that, we have until 2024 to even allocate the money, and then 2026 to spend it.
that's, oh, you just found it.
Oh, you found
That's
it
what
on
I
the
thought. I
website?
thought it was
It's in
2024
the-
to
an
decide
email.
how it's spent.
Ew.
J for.
Really?
Ah, so I was
There's
correct,
no hard
unfortunately.
deadline.
Well, why are they pushing us to give answers? That's so weird. Okay.
Especially when I already went to
You
their
already
meeting and
went
gave
to
them this
I
information.
know, no, it's just ridiculous, but they just want to
Yeah.
formalize it.
Yeah, and well, and I
Okay.
think it's good to update the costs too, and
Yeah.
give them something like, this is our formal ask.
So
I think it's
now
good.
that again, they're not gonna decide till 2024. Now I'm
Mhm.
back to the capital fund, it seems like a better plan, maybe.
Does
not.
that
Yeah, but
mean,
it's not
but
gonna
does
be
that
enough.
mean the end of 2024?
We'd have to
beginning?
ask, like, we'd have to ask.
50 grand a
$50,000
year,
for the
yeah.
year.
And
It
then
would
in the
still
fourth
take like
year,
5
it
years.
would still take too long. Why is this taking so long? Oh my God.
Why
Okay,
didn't we think of this 10 years
Okay.
ago? Somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's all right. I'll be gone by the time.
Let's have a good new playground.
The committee will be disbanded.
Oh my God. Okay, that's all right. Yeah,
And Duncan wants to do it.
Well, that changes a lot.
that does change a lot. All right.
So, yeah.
Are we still okay with me saying that we'd like this to be on the ARPA funding?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's still our best bet.
yeah, it is still a little bit quicker than the capital
What are the
plan.
other
Yeah.
sources of funding, like?
And
how
then
much are the other-
Conservation funds, I mean, you've got limited funds, but that might be
Mhm.
50, 60 grand. How much you got in there? 200 grand? You have like 200 in your conservation.
I
funds?
don't
Trying to find
remember.
out
It's
playground.
quite a bit, but 150,000 just went to the new dam,
Oh.
the Gillette Pond. So I don't know what it was promised like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we had like, well, I really have no idea. It was well over 150,000, but I don't know how much we have now.
It's not gonna be a lot because those get tapped into, so I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
more than like 50 grand is what we
But
were
still.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
That's pretty generous.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, again, and I was just thinking about like if we had, more things to do, or if we couldn't get all the money from ARPA, could we use the conservation fund? Yeah, so I think that again, this is a long-term financial plan.
Yeah.
So,
That kind of money just doesn't come out
Yeah.
of there.
so I don't think it makes sense to have a public meeting. We might just have a regular meeting on the 21st of
Yeah, I
March.
think you're right. It's
think
probably
of
way
what
too
the best-
premature.
Yeah,
But I agree, like looking at possible companies might not
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah, I think that would be good to just know.
Then if
Yeah.
we ever get the money, we can be like, all right, we'll get quotes, we'll
Yeah.
get designs from these 3 companies and then present it to the public and see what they think.
I'm guessing, I think that our playground is by Miracle. I think, I don't know for sure. So but maybe
Yeah.
our best bet is to, have this ask ARPA,
Yeah,
but right now, like, it's not happening right now, so let's not worry about it. But
yeah,
to actually take some action right now would be to figure out who the manufacturer is. And again, I think it's Miracle, but we'll have to check. Reach out to the manufacturer,
Mhm.
maybe have a rep come out and meet with us.
Yeah.
And see, and just talk about what are our patch options,
Mhm.
because we
of the
need
current
to address
playground.
it in the next 2 years.
Yeah,
And that's not necessarily a replacement, but what does a patch look like?
right.
Yeah.
And
just
it,
to
based
get
on that
to
answer, I think we had a lot more information about which way we want it forward. If
Mm.
it's not worth saving, because there's a point when these are not worth saving anymore, then, okay, well. Or we could have a CPSI come out and check it out, although that could be scary. Certified
find-
playground safety
I
inspection.
find a lot of things wrong. Doesn't that have to be done every so often?
I
'Cause
think
remember
Harlan-
Harlan was
Harlan
talking
said
about like,
we're out of code or
he was
something.
like every year, like they find some
Yeah.
stuff wrong and we have to fix it.
Yeah.
I think
So
he did
just
say
kind of
that.
like figuring out what, because I'm sure there's different levels of fixes, right? Like
Mm.
you just need to replace the slide. Or
Right.
you need to shut this whole thing down.
Yeah.
Or we can tweak this little thing and you're gonna be
Mhm.
good. Like you just need to replace a couple bolts. Like I'm sure that there's varying levels of
Mhm.
repair that need to happen.
Yeah.
And so if we have a better idea of that, then it becomes a little less all or nothing. And it gives us an idea of, okay, well, the preschool playground is gonna be out of commission in a year. Okay, well, let's just focus on replacing that one then.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. How do you
And that
know
doesn't
that it was a
require-
miracle? You just know some of the companies.
So how did I kind of recognize the styles?
Really? Even though it's so old?
Yeah. And Miracle has been around for, there was a
Okay.
lot of Vermont playgrounds in Miracle. I don't know for sure that.
Some of
I'm
them
just saying that.
Yeah, maybe the town.
I forget if I've seen it on there or not.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Are we thinking that because the money is gonna be a while, if it is accepted on the ARPA and or the capital budget plan, that we could pursue, is there an interim fix to get it, at the best safety code level that it could be at?
And / make small improvements.
And
Maybe
make
some
small improvements.
slides are replaced, or maybe some elements are replaced, or maybe we can add a new element
Yeah,
off to the side that makes sense with like how we're gonna do it in the future, like isn't in the way, so it's not gonna be something we have to move.
and that's not gonna be as costly.
Right, so
Yeah.
we're still taking some action, but it's
Yeah.
not so all or nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, I guess I'm not, I think that's a good strategy and people do that all the
Yeah.
time where you do, let's, replace this part. But the long-term plan is that we wanna take the whole thing away and,
Mhm.
Yes.
get a up-to-date structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we could also take some of these actions without having to really, involve the public on maps.
Right,
This is not,
right.
That is
these are not
correct.
That's a good
decision,
point.
these are
Right.
not big decision things, so this is something we can literally email the company tomorrow and set up
yeah.
if that's even something that they'll do.
Or
a
maybe the
CPSI.
conservation fund will give us money for it.
Well,
Right.
that's true, because that would be the quickest way.
Oh,
is to
yeah,
go to
it
them.
definitely would be.
Yeah.
I mean, the select board has to agree with it too.
Yeah, but I do think that, like, I really feel like that's the fastest way. is to go to the conservation fund, as long as it's within reason, because we don't want
Right.
to take all the money.
Yeah,
But like, if it's 10 or 15 grand to
Right.
fix it up or
I
something.
think they'd probably be willing to.
Yeah.
Well,
do that,
and like, we know that the band shell needs stuff now. That's
Yeah.
another
Mhm.
area that we could focus, and that's a smaller
Yeah,
ask.
Yeah.
But, if we end up saving, even though we'll ask for all of these things for ARPA,
yeah,
if we end up saving a lot of the funding for the full playground replacement. That's not a bad thing. You know, if we ask for 250,000 and in 2 years they grant us 250,000. If we spend that all in a playground because we had already done a lot of these other things, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a win.
Right.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's good. I think that's a good strategy. So let's, again, for the agenda for next time, let's again mark into the conversation about we're not really, you know, kind of when we're looking at the 3 funding sources and what needs to be done in the timing, you know, this is where we landed, and we don't see a public meeting in March. We think that we just need to, you know, have insights on what could they actually do as an interim fix to make it better, yeah, and what that cost would be. And then again, I think it's the conservation fund that we go after.
Can we make a plan, like a playground plan, where we have this
Like-
long-term full replacement? Here are the VOREC, based on the VOREC list. Here's what, but also here's what we prioritize, and maybe prioritize the VOREC things. And then break it down a little bit more to say, like, this year, we're gonna focus on getting the playground inspected, figuring out what small adjustments we can
Yeah.
make. Next year, we're gonna focus on the band shell. So that over the next 5 years or whatever it is, we have a plan to
Yeah.
work towards all these things minus the full replacement.
Yeah,
Right.
And that we're kind of just holding that off for a larger funding source.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a good idea.
yeah, so
Maybe
we,
we should
Slash
think
add
about
maybe
that
the,
too.
maybe the full replacement is the capital request then.
yeah,
But we
Well-
a smaller amount, because we could seek that addition, like the rest of the funding from somewhere else at the end. So if we asked for 30,000, still a lot, but you know, whatever, it's capital improvement.
Well, I know, it's like, how much would they be willing to agree to?
30,000 over 5 years, you'd be 150. I feel like making up that other 50 wouldn't be such a stretch.
well, I think the hard thing
Yeah.
about the capital plan is, it's almost as if we would want to just spend the money each year, not roll it over for some larger cost. Literally, I mean, we would say, okay, give us 30,000 so we can fix the playground as the
Mhm.
priority, maybe do a little bit of the band shell. That'll be the second year, we'll take the 30,000 for the band.
I know there's so much that's needed.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
That's why maybe better if they could just put it in the budget.
yeah, so let's just have another, let's just talk it out some more.
Maybe we can come up with a plan next time of like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, this is what we're thinking, because I think we have to say what we want,
Yeah.
right? For the,
Mhm.
for the select board, we can't just be like, well, we have a lot of need, you guys gotta figure out how you're
Yeah,
gonna fund it.
Right, they're gonna.
I
want
think we need to give them
specifics.
some ideas, right, of like,
Yeah.
well, you could do it, give us 10,000 a year,
Yeah.
or you could, and also, you know, 5,000 for general maintenance, or you could give us 30,000 and 1,000 for main, I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
the options are.
Sounds good.
should I still ask ARPA or not?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Okay,
still do the Reddit for ARPA.
okay,
You don't wanna miss any opportunity.
yeah, even though I don't
Also
think,
update the budget for vote
And I'm
stuff.
happy
Yeah,
to
okay.
look it over and help you
Okay.
with writing it.
yeah, and before I send it off, yeah, okay. So we're just trying to come up with I call it the Plan B.
It's like Plan D.
For
So,
unemployment.
Plan A is
Was both.
pay for it all,
Both.
yeah, pay for it all, but the Plan B is, you know, we're just gonna patch it along the way, and it's okay just to patch it. I always think, are they gonna get mad about this patching stuff? And it's like, no, they can't, because it's still an
It's just
improvement.
repairing what's
Yeah,
there
and
to
it's
keep it
still
safe.
to
Everybody
keep it
wants
safe,
it safe.
yeah. And I think
Or
that's the,
adding elements, potentially,
Yeah.
like external.
Mhm.
I
You know, like
think-
that
yeah.
features.
I think
Yeah,
the way,
it's
the way to pitch it is the health and safety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kids.
Because we
Yeah.
know that's an issue.
And that's
Yeah.
urgent, which
That's
I think,
urgent.
which I think would be, you know, give it more weight with like getting funding.
Okay,
Too, like this is clearly a recreation.
okay, all right, so,
Buying benches that are $500.
yeah, yeah,
Just buy a bench over here.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
hope it's not too late to like spend the money, because remember Robbie was like, we need to
know.
vote on this and spend it, and that was so.
yeah, so. All right, so I think that I'll look at your notes. I think again, we're still focused on financial plan A and B.
Yeah.
That will again come up with the priorities. This is the current year, this is 20, so we're in 2023, 2024, and then hopefully by 2025, we can get the big deal done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no,
How many
we
years
gotta
are
be
you
great,
staying on? 10 years,
because
right?
if
That's
20,
right.
if they decide 2024, the work can start happening fiscal
Mhm.
year, starting July 1st of 2024 to June 30th of 2025, we get that playground done.
Yeah.
That would be my
That would
goal.
be amazing. if it
Yeah, I mean,
happened,
we, just because they say they have 2 years to spend it. No, we'll take the money the first.
Oh, yeah,
And
we'll
they
use
could-
this as
They
possible.
could decide
Yeah,
They could decide before,
way
you know,
before,
the
you know?
Right.
date, yeah.
they could,
Seems
okay,
unlikely, but they could.
Right.
all right.
They'd probably like to be done, but whether or not they will be done really.
Okay. All right, well, I think I would like to call the meeting. We're at 8:35. Good brainstorming discussion, and more to come for February. So, I motion to adjourn. I need a second. Okay,
can
Kate
second.
second, and
Mhm.
so we thank you very much for hanging in there. Jack, do you have any Bolton residents that wanna be, on the committee? We still need a Bolton rep.
Yes, yeah, we've got somebody in mind.
Oh,
Really?
It's a
Let us know.
possibility. Yeah, we're working on it.
oh, thank you very much, Jack. Thank you.
Cool.
All right, we'll bid you goodbye. Thank you so much.
Lisa left.
Lisa left.
Good
See you,
night.
see you next
Night.
February, or this coming February.